Hello and welcome to the first weekly MTG of 2024. I'm your host, Blake Rasmussen. I'm still here. Coming back to you we're kind of easing into things this week before we launch into Murders at Carlisle Manor next week. This week we are opening Ravnica Remastered, a set just chock full of nostalgia, which means I am going to wax poetic about the good old days because I'm old. And I played all of these sets when they came out, all the way back to the original Ravnica. So we're going to spend this show, we're going to open some collector boosters, we're going to open some draft boosters and talk draft order picks. I'll recite draft order wisdom from a decade ago, 15 years ago. It's been, who knows, time is a construct. But we are going to just hang out, open some Ravnica Remastered, and chat about it. So let's dive right into it. We're going to start with collector boosters, and then we'll go to draft boosters after that. We've got a bunch of them. So I'm going to talk about each of the slots. You can see it's a fully sealed. Oh man, part of me wishes I didn't feel the need to be authentic, so I could open these beforehand. But all right, so not a box topper in this set, so you just go right to cracking packs. We're going to talk about the order in these and all the different slots. And I'll try to watch chat and answer questions as we can. This is a pretty casual stream, so we just, if you haven't been in one of these opening streams before, we like to just hang out, talk about what we're opening, and talk about the set and all that sort of jazz. The original Ravnica is almost 20 years old. Yeah, I knew that math. It's just like, it makes me feel old. All right, so each of them is going to come with a double face token. I'm flipping this over because I know the order of these and the most exciting card's this card right here. So they're going to come with double face tokens. So this is, we got Spirit, a lot of 1/1 flying spirits in this set, some 3/3 centaurs to populate with. And then, all right, we're going to go, first of all, there are 4 foil commons. And again, this set is filled with bangers. So you're going to see a lot of cool cards in this common slot. Judge's Familiar, downshifted. That was a standard playable card back in the day. It was an uncommon then. And yeah, if you want to talk draft picks, like these 2 are fairly high draft picks. I'll hold the draft picks till we start talking about the actual draft sets. All right, and then you're going to get 3 foil uncommons. I still play Condemn in Canadian Highlander. There's my Canadian Highlander quota for today. Celestia Evangel, that is quite the limited banger. And to Arms. To Arms goes well with Celestia Evangel. All right, after that, so both the collector boosters and the draft boosters have what we call a mana fixing slot. That's this slot. Now it can be, this slot's going to be foil in the collector boosters. It's not in the necessarily in the draft boosters. But this can be a Guild Gate. It can be one of the signets. It can be a Chromatic Lantern, or it can be a Shock Land. All right, next up we have, so this is going to be common and uncommon retro non-foil. There's going to be 2 of them. So light up the stage, and is it Guildgate? I'm going to hold up these retro frame ones a little bit. You know, I was a little bit dubious of the retro frames for the Guildgates, but seeing them in person, I actually really like them. Retro frame is my favorite alternate frame. So I'm a little bit biased there, but they're pretty sweet. Next up, we're going to see foil, retro, common or uncommon. We got a Krenko's Command here. I'll move these so we can keep everything relatively in shot. All right, and then we get to some exciting stuff. We get the foil rare mythic in on. You might have seen the retro foil, but that's okay. Then we get the non-foil retro. So this is Aurelia, Exemplar of Justice. Then we get the Japan-inspired anime treatment. We've got a Hellkite Tyrant here. You're going to get one of these in every pack. And then the last slot is we call the foil fancy slot. It could be anime, it could be retro. In this case, we have a retro foil Sword of the Prunes. These are collector boosters, correct. All right, let's see. we'll just keep going. We're probably going to go through. All right, so token. We got Domri and Saproling with that original Saproling. I don't know if it's original, but it's way back in the day Saproling art. All right, 4 commons. Compulsive Research. Again, standard all-star back in the day. And then we got 3 uncommons. So, yeah, this is where I started whacking. So, Azorius Guildmage. I actually played this in a homebrew deck at a regional championship when that was standard legal. Played Sunforge in that deck. I actually was doing pretty well until I played, and he wasn't the same at the time, but I ended up playing against Sam Black. I didn't know who Sam Black was at the time. I've told this story on social media before. And I lost the match because even though I had been playing with Azorius Guildmage for a while, because of how good that counter target activated ability was, it countered Transmute. At the time, Heartbeat of Spring decks, Transmute were really big. This is super relevant to everyone on stream, and everyone really cares about this. Anyway, I did not realize at the time that Ninjutsu was an activated ability, and I got beat by a Ninjutsu'd Ink Eyes from Sam Black, who I believe went on to top 8 that regionals. All right, so the mana slot is at Guildgate here, and then retro uncommon Cloudfin Raptor with that centered text and the updated art. Love that. Retro Lightning Helix. This card's going to be standard legal with MKM, so if you're a fan of this art and the retro frame, this is where to get it. All right, then we get foil called the Conclave. That makes one of those Centaur tokens. Watch Wolf for token lovers. All right, Mizzix's Mastery here. And then we've got Void Slime in the retro frame with updated art. My holiday break was lovely, thank you. And we got the Anime Atomic, Distinguished Advocist. And then Foil Fancy is, oh, look at that. Foil Retro Sphinx's Revelation. Love that card. Loved that standard deck. I know a lot of people hated it, but that's just my kind of magic. All right. So let's do token first. Worm token. Speaking of downshifts, the aura that makes worms was downshifted from rare to uncommon. We may see one of those. All right, 4 foil commons. So speaking of transmute, here's one of those transmute cards, Faith Fetters. I played this card main deck in a Grand Prix, Team Grand Prix, where we almost made, it was a weird structure back then. We almost made day 2. Or day 2 was like the top 8. It was odd. But I was undefeated on the day. I was 7-0 personally. Not that the team was like 5-2. And we lost. I lost my first match because I needed to Faith's Fetters versus a Zoo deck, and I had a weird choice to make because they had a Kami of Ancient Law out. Anyway, I've played with these cards a lot. All right, Cartel Aristocrats, Azorius, Justiciar, and Civic Saber. Cartel Aristocrats, because it sacrifices for free and only costs 2 mana, still relevant in a lot of different formats. We got a Simic Guildgate. We got nice retro Coiling Oracle. Love that. And Celestia Guildgate in the retro. And then our retro foil is Celestia Guildgate. These retros look especially good in foil, in my opinion. All right, then we get the foil main set. There's a Response Resurgent. Retro non-foil, Watery Grave. Nice. We're just going to set that one aside up there. Nah, we'll put it right here. Come back to that later. And then Savra, Queen of the Golgari. So this slot right here, of note, the anime treatment is going to be non-foil. However, you can get foil. There we go. It's like I'm psychic. I knew this was coming. I wish I had that power. I don't have that power. But notice that you can get the foil anime in that foil fancy slot. All right. We'll keep going. We got a centaur. We got a bird. Let's see. Why are tokens made double-sided? It makes searching for those much worse. You know, I don't know the actual reason. My sense is that it makes each individual token just that much more useful. But it's not a question I've ever asked the studio. Rubberbelt Mako looks like a hill giant. It's not. The card's really good. I never, ever drafted Gruul back in the day. Tried not to anyway, and that card killed me a lot. +3/+3 for a single red mana is a lot. Demon Fire gets downshifted from rare to uncommon, so feel free to kill people dead with Demon Fire. All right, Simic Signet. Gruul Guildgate. Why do all the Retroframe Shocklands not have mana symbols? Because, it is actually a rule in the game that if something has a type of one of the basic land types, it produces that color mana. So it's actually for the rules, not necessary, and you'll see that in a lot of different versions of lands like that. Ooh, foil retro turnabout. So this is, for those who aren't aware, IDW did a series of comics, and Turnabout with this Dak Faden art was one of those promos, and here that art gets used in the set itself, which is pretty cool. All right, we got a Atomic. I will note, we put out a statement on this, but that Azorius watermark is incorrect. It's not supposed to be there. It's fine. All right, Retro Chord of Calling. That's hot. Yeah, that card was good back then. It's good now. Anime Ilharg. That card goes. That art goes hard. That art goes hard. And then, so I actually saw a non-foil one of these Master of Cruelties earlier, and I'm not sure if it's just Master of Cruelties or it's going to be all Legends, but this just feels, with this art, like a card straight out of Legends. The foiling obviously gives it a different feel because Legends didn't have foils back then, but this the retro frame makes it really feel like a card from back in the day, which is really cool. We got some Atomic. We got a few of them. All right, we got Token. There are several types of spirits. Yeah, that Orzhov watermark is really cool. And then Bird, Celestial watermark. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Arboreal Grazer, that still gets played. Goblin Electromancer still gets played in a lot of places. There are a lot of good commons and uncommons in this set. It's very much got a best of the best feel. Quicken, downshifted. I've tried to make Quicken work in a few constructed decks. It's fine. It's fine. Being able to wrath at instant speed is always nice. All right, there's our foil Guildgate. Retro Drift of Phantasms, also known as Heartbeat of Spring, numbers 5 through 8. So we used to do Crackling Drake, still played often alongside a bunch of blue and red cards. Ooh, foil Retro Coiling Oracle. I love this card so much. All right, and then we've got a Repudiate Replicate for the foil Rare Mythic. And then Sword of the Parun's non-foil. Anime, we've got, Ral Zarek. Another Canadian Highlander throughout. This gets played in Canadian Highlander because that first ability can untap Time Bolt. You can take some extra turns and then get to flip some coins to take some extra. Oh, and there's a Stomping Grounds. Full art foil Stomping Grounds. That was pretty nice. That was pretty nice. Reprint Ancestral Recall in Standard. No. All right, let's do these. Bird Illusion, Spirit, Bird Illusion, no watermark, Spirit, watermark. Love that we get a few different arts for the spirits. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, look at these commons. Coiling Oracle, Cloudfin Raptor. Love it. All right, uncommons. Do the non-foil borderless Shocklands show up in the same slot as the other borderless cards? This is the borderless slot right here. So yeah, so a non-foil borderless Shockland would show up in this slot. We got some foils for the uncommons. Light Up the Stage, still played. Muddle the Mixture, still played. Rakdos Guildmage, cool card. Dimir Guildgate. And then we've got Retro Golgari Guildmate for non-foil. Retro Utopia Sprawl, also still played. Very strong card. Cartel Aristocrats in the foil retro. Love that. Deathrite Shaman. Oh yeah, remember everyone? This card's in the set. A lot of people playing Timeless are remembering how good this card is. But that is right there in foil, right in that slot. Then we got a non-foil retro Mizzix Mastery. Our anime card is Massacre Girl. The Golgari Guildgate does have some great art. And then Spark Double for our retro foil here. I love the little shooting star at the bottom. Just, it brings me back. Brings me back. Yeah, so this slot is anime treatment or borderless Shocklands. I have not gotten to draft the set yet, actually. Not this set. I've drafted all the other Ravnica sets, but this one specifically, no, I have not drafted it yet. These days, I don't have as much time to play test sets before they come out as I used to. Back in the day, I used to do it a lot more. These days, I don't get the opportunity. Debt to the Deathless, Big Commander card, Ultimate Price still gets played from time to time. All right, and this goes to show that this slot, the mana fixing slot, can come with one of these foil Shocklands here. That is a foil Steam Vents right there. And then we've got Solana Ledgewalker. And then we've got Muddle the Mixture in retro. And then we've got Orzhov Guildgate in the foil retro. And then our foil is foil Rare Mythic, Unbreakable Formation. Prime Speaker Zagana. I'm not going to say anything spoilery about the stories, but if you haven't read the stories for Murders at Karlov Manor, she has a part. But also, just really cool to have that in retro. Here's Spark Double in the anime treatment. We just saw the retro frame. And then got foil retro Lazav. Oh, chat's just going full spoilers. No hesitation. Read the story. Read the story. I actually, I'm always going to recommend reading the story, but for Murders at Karlov Manor, there's an actual mystery that you can follow along with. You know, we experimented last set with releasing all the story at once. That, for Murders at Karlov Manor, we really wanted people to come along and be able to put some clues together and work along with Alquist Proft and the others to solve the mystery and see if they can pick up on it. So if that's not your thing, you can read the whole story when it's complete next week. All right, foil Lightning Helix. So if you're not a Retro Frame fan, which, come on. But if you're not a Retro Frame fan, they got those too. Get those ready for Standard. They're going to be big. All right, Rakdos Signet. So again, this is a mana fixing slot, so this can be Signets as well. We got Krenko's Command in Retro, Turnabout in non-foil Retro, Condemn. Oh yeah, that's going into a Canadian Highlander deck. Come on, come on. Yeah, I don't care. Jason can post a link to the story. Karn the Great Creator. Rest in peace, buddy. Still very useful in a lot of other formats. But, yep, it is available in this set. Got one right there in foil. Retro Frame Supreme Verdict. My all Retro Frame Rasputin Dreamweaver deck appreciates that. Then we got the, so here, someone was asking about the full border non-foil version. So here's that Watery Grave in that slot. And then finally, Pack Rat. Okay, so this is a foil anime. So let's talk about Pack Rat real quick. Pack Rat only shows up in, well, almost only shows up in collector boosters. So draft boosters can have anime cards in them. This, obviously, is an anime version of Rat Pack. This technically can show up in draft boosters. It'll be, low frequency to show up and absolutely destroy your opponents, but when you can, it'll look like this. There is also a Retro Frame Pack Rat that is only found in collector boosters. Got to draft a Pack Rat on Friday. Man. Why is Turnabout linked to Ravnica? So, a lot of what this set did was take cards that were set on Ravnica in some form or fashion. So, I did not read the IDW comics, full transparency. My guess is that this art and this scene took place on Ravnica. So, you'll see in this set like cards, like, for example, Karn the Great Creator was in War of the Spark. War of the Spark happened on Ravnica. You're going to see commander cards in here that are from like the characters from Ravnica, but maybe it didn't show up originally in a Ravnica set. So that's a lot of the gist of the set is, yes, a lot of these were in some of the core Ravnica sets, but also they expanded it to be able to include cards that just are Ravnican by their nature. Yeah, Karn is still alive in the story. Desparked, but alive. All right, nearly done with the collector boosters. Then we're going to jump into draft boosters. Oh, Rhythm of the Wild here with some new art. Are we ever going to see Retro Frame Planeswalkers outside of Secret Layers? Maybe. Never say never. Sky Hussar. I have cast this card and put it in play probably more times than I've transmuted it. Yeah, it's probably an accurate statement. All right, Assure Assemble for the foil. Retro, Blind Obedience. And again, when someone asks you if you can have this in your mono-white commander deck, you can point to this version. There's no reminder text symbol on it. Anime Domri. Again, that art goes really hard. Oh, foil retro Supreme Verdict. Look at that. Yeah. Correct. RVR still has draft boosters. Play boosters come with, and that's in part because that's just when they start for MCAM, but also in part because there are not set boosters for Ravnica Remastered. There are only draft boosters and collector boosters, which is why those are the only two things we're opening on this stream. 2, 3. Gutter Snipe. And then Celestia Signet for this slot. And then we get 2 nice retro Compulsive Research, Loaming Shaman. Ooh, foil Sphere of Safety. Fibblethip. Still lost on Ravnica, still lost in many places. Retro Thespian Stage, that's a nice one. Anime Karlov of the Ghost Council, just indisputably best art maybe ever in the history of anything. Might be an exaggeration, but that's fantastic art. And then foil Retro Tesa. All right, 2 more of these, and then we'll move on to collector booster or to draft boosters. We'll talk about the draft environment. Transmuting for Faith's Fetters in draft was an MVP play, weirdly enough. Till you got blown out by Seed Spark. 1, 2, 3, 4. Siege Worm, A+ card to convoke off of Seed Spark, for example. And then we got, Remand and Skullcrack. Those are some premier uncommons. Again, Blood Rush, really good. We'll talk more about that in the draft portion. Foil Izzet Signet, and then Dimir Guildgate, and Perilous Forays is an uncommon. Great commander card. And then foil Retro Rhythm of the Wild. New to MTG, so I still think every card is the prettiest art I've ever seen. Well, welcome. And yeah, we've got some pretty fantastic art in this game. All right, there is that Retro Pack Rat. Again, that can only be found in collector boosters. So if you're looking for Retro Pack Rats, here's where to find them. Here is Full Art Breeding Pool. Again, we talked about that as anime or full art, or I guess borderless breeding pool. And oh, there it is. There's that Chord of Calling. Ah, that looks good. Yep. Retro Frame fans are feasting on this set. I was a big fan of Time Spiral Remastered for that same reason, but this set is just banger after banger. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3. Putrefy, True Fire Captain, Fungal Rebirth. And then Azorius Guildgate. Guildgate fans also feasting. Gutter Snipe. Shambling Shell with the little tombstone. Little tombstone up there. Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Ooh, Retro Tidespout Tyrant. Back in my day, that was the de facto reanimation target. Anime Fibblethip the Lost. There's a reason this is one of the first cards we showed off. It's just so fun. Fantastic art. Love the card. Is this standard legal? It is not. There are some cards, not a ton, that are standard legal by virtue of being in other sets, but no, this set does not make anything standard legal. This set does not change the legality of any of the cards. So the main one, if you're looking at standard, is going to be Lightning Helix, which is about to be printed in Murders at Karlov Manor, which we have already revealed. But no, this is for your nostalgia kick, for your Commander games, for Modern, Pioneer, Legacy, whatever format that uses old Ravnica cards. This is your jam. It's also a fantastic draft set. Ravnica sets almost universally, I'm not going to say universally, Dragon's Maze, have been fondly remembered for their draft environments. And so, part of this is also recreating a lot of that excitement and really focusing in on the guilds. So we're gonna talk about, yeah, there's a lot of good, cool down chips for Pauper as well. If I can open packs. It's not like I've been opening packs for 25 years. Why isn't Fibblethip a planeswalker? They've been to so many planes. Well, the Omen Paths let them travel the planes now. So we're okay. All right, so token. So again, there's going to be a mana fixing slot in every one of these. This is the same as the collector booster in that this mana fixing slot most of the time is going to be a guild gate, but it can be a shock land, it can be a signet, and it can also be chromatic lantern. All right, and then you'll have a retro slot. Make sure I'm saying this all correctly. All right, retro slot. It's going to be a common or an uncommon most of the time, and then you're going to have a rare or mythic rare, followed by some uncommons. Midnight Reaper is really good. Junk Troller, Frilled Mystic, all of those are pretty strong. Junk Troller's fine. Frilled Mystic and Condemn are really strong. Fist of Ironwood is kind of your bread and butter common for Celestia. I have cast this on so many of my opponent's creatures because it doesn't matter. You just want the 2 tokens. Drudge Beetle, Wild Cantor with some new art, Whisper Agent, Persistent Petitioners. I mean, you can play that game here. You can try to get a bunch of Persistent Petitioners and mill your opponent out. It is a possible thing to do. Keening Apparition, Burglar Rat, Active Treason, and our boy Coiling Oracle. So here I think your options are, if you want to go the Guildgate route, you can go that route. You can. But I think you would probably pick both Midnight Reaper and Condemn over it. Condemn is, even though I spoke about this card highly in, yeah, thanks Producer Sean for zooming out. Canadian Highlander. In Limited, it's not as good because you can only hit creatures who are attacking you. Midnight Reaper, you've got some flexibility in what guild you can go in by taking a monocolor card. It's super powerful. It's probably the card I would take here. After that, I'd probably pick up Frilled Mystic. You can definitely, if you want to go that route, you do you on Persistent Petitioners. Yeah, Bruvac is there. There is a mill theme in this set. You can do mill. Oh yeah, Fist of Ironwood on Bramble Elemental. Don't get me started. Any card that did not make it into the set, but you wish, I don't know, man. I haven't even thought that way. This card has set has so much going for it. Boy, did not make it into the set, but I wish they did. Thinking back then, I mean, I don't know if it's right to say I wish they did, but I'm a fan of all of the blue-red Niv Mizzets. Huge Niv Mizzet fan. Put that token over there. And so, just got to live the dream. Oh, Dominator Rally. And so, you could never include too many of the blue-red Niv Mizzets for my taste, and obviously they're not going to just go Niv Mizzet the set. So it's not that I wish there were more Niv Mizzets in the set. My capacity for blue-red Niv Mizzets is all of them. Oh, 2 Persistent Petitioners. Take one, hope to table the other. Legit strategy, taking this Persistent Petitioners and hoping to get the other one. These are play boosters. So no, these are draft boosters because the only draft boosters for Ravnica Remastered. Play boosters start with Murders at Karlov Manor, but for Ravnica Remastered, there are not set boosters. So they're just draft boosters and collector boosters. So you don't have to worry about any of that confusion as well. Let's see. So yeah, a legit strategy would be taking Persistent Petitioners and hoping that this one tabled. There are a lot of good cards in this set. So Domri, Gutter Snipe, Utopia Sprawl, Mayhem Devil, Blade Juggler, Fists of Ironwood are all, Krenko's Command to a lesser extent, are all cards I would be happy to play. The most powerful are probably Domri, followed by Mayhem Devil. I personally don't like drafting red-green, but it can be a very powerful archetype, and Domri's ridiculous. as a 3-power planeswalker that has removal stapled onto it, card advantage. So the pick is probably Domri. I wouldn't fault anyone for trying to live the petitioner's dream here. And then I do want to say Juggler is, it looks worse than it is. This card's very good. So do not sleep. Like Blade Juggler is probably, I might even take Blade Juggler over Mayhem Devil here. Just because it keeps me in one color. Mayhem Devil's gotten obviously a bit of a reputation for its work in sacrifice archetypes, but it's not as slam dunk as when you have Cat Oven going. Secret Lair, Persistent Petitioners. Could happen. Who knows? All right. Simic Guildgate, Copy Enchantment, Aetherplasm. Homing Lightning is very strong. Nightveil Predator. Nightveil Predator is unbeatable. Let's just be honest. It's got hexproof. It's got flying. It's got death touch. Can't be blocked. Blocks everything. Kills everything. Can't be targeted. It's impossible to beat. That said, I think your options here are Homing Lightning, Nightveil Predator, Skyknight Legionnaire. And again, I don't like red-green, but this is obviously the red-green premium common with Scab Clan Mauler here. Skyknight Legionnaire is, if you draft Boros, you can't have too many of these. So there is a world in which you just take this and grab all the Skyknight Legionnaires. There's no way to have too many Skyknight Legionnaires. Homing Lightning is obviously premium removal. Each other creature with the same name as that creature is sometimes flavor text. Against Celestia, it's really good. And can be a sort of mini Wrath. I personally, even though I don't, it's weird because I hate drafting Gruul, but I love drafting Boros. I would take the Skyknight Legionnaire. Nightveil Predator is super unbeatable, but whatever. All right, gonna keep going. All right, all right. Our mana fixing card is that. We got a foil Guildgate. We got a retro Devouring Light, Bottled Cloister, Debt to the Debtless. It's a weird pack. Moldervine Cloak, Mistral Charger, Siege Worm, Vapors, Whisper Agent, Eyes in the Sky, Drift to Phantasm, Last Gasp. All right. In this case, Bottled Cloister is powerful. It is a very real drawback to basically not be able to cast things on your opponent's turn, and there's a risk if Bottled Cloister is destroyed. Now, there's not a ton of artifact destruction in the set, so you could go that direction and keep your options open. Last Gasp is premium removal, so that's definitely an option to take. Could take some fixing. Devouring Light's fine. Again, it's got, this one at least hits blocking creatures, and Convoke can really surprise some people. And then Siege Worm is kind of, again, your bread and butter Celestia common. I would probably take, depending, I don't know how fast, like, if this format is Boros and Orzhov set the bar for how fast a deck can be, or Gruul, Bottled Cloister looks a little slow and doesn't do much. So Last Gasp is my instinct, but I could see a world where Bottled Cloister's the pick. Yeah, you could try to draft all retro frames. It's a tough challenge, but you could try it. Mistral Charger, I did not mention Mistral Charger, and Mistral Charger is very bread and butter. Flying's very strong. We got Retro Guildgate. Warden, very strong card. Wasteland Viper, Gruul Guildmage. All of the Guildmages are I think all of the Guildmages are top level picks. Conclave Cavalier, Titanic Brawl, Boreal Grazer, Downsize, Basilica Guards, Leapfrog, Euthanist, Maka, Tin Street Dodger. This card's better than you think. Tin Street Dodger is and was the scourge of many of my drafts. Disembowel, pretty solid removal, but I think in this case, Warden is probably the best bet. Even if you ended up not in Azorius, you can still cast Warrant in either white or blue decks. You could look to splash for the Warden part. And a 4/4 flying vigilant creature is pretty strong here. After that, Gruul Guildmage and Conclave Cavalier are probably the next strongest cards, with Disembowel and Robe Bilmok right behind that. 24 retro frame cards. You wouldn't even get there if the pod let. That's 24 is a draft deck, man. You only need about 17. Nope, that's wrong. You only need 23. Now some of them would probably be lands. So yeah, it's tough to get there with an all retro frame draft deck, but maybe. Celestia Evangel. First pick this card if you have the opportunity and there's nothing else. Like a Priest of Forgotten Gods. That is a very strong card. Again, much like the other Sacrifice cards, Sacrifice is not nearly as easy as it is in Constructed. We've all been conditioned on how good Priests of Forgotten Gods and the like are in Constructed, when you always have cats and foods and things like that to sacrifice. It's still very strong here, but you're not going to find yourself activating this every turn, more than likely. That said, yeah, Celestia Evangel is ridiculous. Golgari Finebroker, Shark to Crab, Priest of Forgotten Gods, all strong. So those... Coiling Oracle is good. I wouldn't pick it over these other cards. You know, same with Persistent Petitioners, unless you want to live the dream. You do you. I would probably pick Celestia Evangel. Priest of Forgotten Gods, while powerful, is you don't always have fodder for it, and even when you do, your opponent may have, for example, a Celestia Evangel, in which case sacrificing the creature doesn't matter nearly as much. Shark to Crab is fun. Let's see. Does not mention are retro taking the regular rare slot, so is that pack an error? The Collector Booster, the Collecting Ravnica Remastered article does mention that. So it says, I'm looking at it right now, 1 rare or mythic rare, and then in parentheses it says retro or borderless anime rare mythic in some packs. So here, you can see that. I almost thought for a second that was 2 rares, but Stalking Vengeance has been downshifted. We got Lightning Helix. We got Devouring Light. It's going to be really hard to get away from that. But yes, so the rare can be retro, and then that is your rare for the pack. Judge is Familiar, Titanic Brawl, Radical Idea, Basilica Guards, Helium Squirter, Cobwaltz, Active Treason, Scabclan Mauler, Balustrade Spy, banned in multiple formats, Balustrade Spy. I find it hard to get away from Lightning Helix here. Titanic Brawl is strong. Helium Squirter is actually quite strong. It's a good finisher, especially in any decks with a bunch of +1/+1 counters. Obviously, Scabclan Mauler is pretty strong, but I would take Lightning Helix and not look back. Yep, new art from Macabre Waltz. Big fan of the original, but I like the new stuff too. All right. All right, so we got about 15 minutes left. Chat, would you like to continue looking at draft packs, or would you like to go back to collector boosters? We can do either, and I'll leave it up to all of you. Retro Moldervine Cloak is pretty great. Prime Speaker Zagana, Dreadmalkin. Go ahead and put in chat where you want to head. Collector boosters, draft boosters. And we'll look from there. Slitherhead with that Scavenge 0. Downsize, Reserve Youth, and Skewer the Critics. All right, Here, so this card, don't sleep on Garum. Really, actually pretty good card. And it draws a card and it can swing a combat pretty effectively. Skewer the critics, it can save a creature. Scorched Sulka is actually solid, but I wouldn't go here. But you know, if you pick Mayhem Devil, you're probably hoping for Scorched Sulka to come back to you. If not, you've got Footlight Fiend. You can build the sacrifice deck here, and Mayhem Devil's pretty strong. Prime Speaker Zagana, also very strong. I do love blue-green. That's what I would take. I'm a bit of a Simic homer, so I would probably take Prime Speaker Zagana. And what am I hoping tables? Utopia Sprawl? Nothing? That might be a strike against Prime Speaker Zagana, is that the rest of this pack. Horncaller's Chant, 8 mana is sure a lot. Put it that way. Just show us the rares in draft and go fast. All right. Pretty much 50-50. More draft, collectors, draft, collector ahead by 1. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this one more draft, and we'll open some collectors. All right. Celestian Guildmate, foil Assure Assemble, retro. So if you're looking for how do I get multiple rares or mythics in a draft pack, it's if there's a foil rare mythic in the set. So Assure Assemble is really a very strong card and probably what we would take. There are very few uncommons and commons that we would take above it. That said, there are some strong commons in here. Ill-Gotten Inheritance looks really mopey. It's not. Ill-Gotten Inheritance is maybe how more Orzhov decks have won limited games than any other card. Maybe. Blind Hunter probably tops it, but Ill-Gotten Inheritance is actually really strong. Skewer the Critics, obviously very strong. Eyes in the Sky is a pretty good Celestia common. Orzhov Enforcer is strong, but I think we would take Assure Assemble. Terramander is really good in specifically the blue-red decks, but I'm going Assure Assemble. I assure you it is the correct pick. Compulsive Research, great card. You can also get multiple rares if the fixing slot has a Shockland in it. Yep. All right. We will swing back to collect boosters as I just destroy my microphone here. All right. Hopefully you can still hear me. Please let me know if you can't. Great. You can get Shocklands in the mana slot. Correct. So you could get 3 Shocklands in a pack if you're super lucky. I think hypothetically, yes, a foil Shockland, mana-fixing Shockland, and a just regular rare slot Shockland. Hypothetically, I think it's possible, he says, entirely unsure, but it seems possible. All right, let's move this draft box out of the way. No, I think we're good. All right. Yeah, and if there are any specific questions about any of the collecting stuff that I'm not able to answer on stream or we don't get to, the Collecting Ravnica Remastered article, you can just Google it. You can look for it on our site. Collecting Ravnica Remastered is going to have all the answers you need. I'm doing this I'm going to try to, there we go. We'll do it how I was doing it before. Commons, uncommons, light up the stage, quicken, silent dart. I do love that uncommon, or that quicken was downshifted, even though I never got it to work. Retro Lightning Helix, nice. Foil Retro Simic Guildgate. Rakdos, Lord of Riots for the rare. There's a Pithing Needle, nice. The Retro Frame. Oh, it's my buddy, Niv Mizzet Perun. That's my favorite Niv Mizzet. So I'm glad they put that one in the set. Someone might have already asked, but is it possible to drop anime cards in draft boosters? Yes, it is. That is the only way to get a pack rat in a draft booster is to get an anime. You can get it in the rare slot. Faith's Fetters, whoops, Act of Treason, Band Together, Debtor's Transfer. Band Together is a very strong card, and yet I always had trouble making it work. I don't know. Rhythm of the Wild, Angelic Exaltation, Moldervine Cloak. Don't sleep on Moldervine Cloak when you're drafting the set either. Dredge is just an inherently strong mechanic, even though it looks like a sort of mopey aura. Crackling Drake. Nice. Love that retro Crackling Drake. Quicken. Phytohydra. Rest in Peace. Love the new art here. We got full art Temple Garden. Friend of the show, Elena Danner. It's going to have to go to my wife's Elena Danner binder. And Dreadbore. Foil retro. Yeah, the retro foil Quicken does look nice. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Could go in my commander deck. Five-color Niv that Reborn getting so many upgrades. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got our commons here. 1, 2, 3. Plaguecrafter, Gutter Snipe, Stab Wound. We got Celestia Guildgate. Arboreal Grazer. For those who want to retro frame out their various Field of the Dead decks. Quicken, or Titan decks, whatever it may be. Your Guildgate. Another foil Deathrite Shaman. Well done. Well done. Retro Infernal Tutor. Tomic is back. We're opening many Tomics. And then foil retro copy enchantment. How much time we got left? 8 minutes. So we've got 8 minutes left. I'm going to just keep doing this until we run out of time. But next week is the debut for Murders at Karlov Manor. We have a fantastic show. So there will be the debut. There will be a video showcasing all the cool things about the set at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then that'll be followed by the after show where I will have Mark Rosewater and Mike Turian will be joining me to talk all about the set. We're going to talk about the set. We're going to talk about the Clue release. I know people have a lot of questions about the Cluedo release. So we're going to talk about both those things. We're going to talk mechanics. We're going to dive deep into the set. So you'll want to definitely tune in for the debut at 9 a.m., followed by the after show immediately thereafter, where we'll talk with Mark Rosewater and Mike Turian. So that is next week. And then the week after that, we're actually going to be playing Magic X Cluedo. We're going to play it on stream so that people can see it in action. There's that Bruvac, the grandiloquent. Pronouncing words. First seen in Jumpstart. So that's an example of a card. It's set on Ravnica, but did not originally appear in, oh my gosh, just stopped me in my tracks. Yeah, Anime Life from the Loam. Life from the Loam is one of my favorite cards of all time, and this art is beautiful. And retro foil Lavinia. Not eloquent of me. Absolutely not eloquent of me. Yeah, that Deathrite Shaman foil is real good. It's not standard legal. This set is not standard legal. There are, as I said earlier, some very small number of cards that are standard legal only because they're printed in other sets. Actually don't, the number might be 0 right now, but certainly Lightning Helix is coming in with Murders at Karlov Manor, and who knows what else. You're going to have to tune in next week to see those previews to see if there's any other reprints from Ravnica sets coming in. Utopia Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl would be a heck of a... Oh, yeah, it's just so good. Foil Retro Lightning Helix. I hope the Dimir Surveil commanders from the upcoming precon are cool. I've been waiting for a Dimir self-mill commander for years. I think it's cool. It's a subjective assessment, so we'll see. I hope you like it. Lord of the Void. Oh, yeah. Foil, Anime, Arclight, Phoenix. I would like 4 of these. I love the original art, but this just pops. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of Arclight Phoenix decks. That Arclight Phoenix is nice. All right, Worm, Spirit. Yeah, I've played Arclight Phoenix in all the formats it's been viable in. It is downshifted. Yeah, that's a good note. Arclight Phoenix was initially printed as a mythic. It is a rare in this set. All right, we got some commons. We got some uncommons, including Remand. We got some fixing. Persistent Petitioners in retro. Wilderness Reclamation. That's the first one of those we've seen. Opened a lot of packs in the first Wilderness Reclamation. Uncommon. We got that. I think Wilderness Reclamation might be one of the ones off the top of my head. So there are some retro cards that are only found in collector boosters to keep them out of the draft environment. Wilderness Reclamation might be one of those, which is why that happened. I do not remember off the top of my head, but those do exist. Legion Warboss. Sacred Foundry, that's gorgeous. Full art. And foil retro Legion Warboss. Are collector boost boxes above or below $250,000? We don't set those prices, but I'm guessing they're below. All right. I see the question on Brawl. That is a good question for our arena team, which I don't know the answer to right now. But next time we have an arena stream, certainly ask. Guildgate, all right, retro, Skewer the Critics, retro, Etherize. There you go, Stibbs. Foil retro, Totally Lost. Foil Blazing Archon. Again, used to be one of the premier. Oh, there you go. Niv Mizzet Reborn. Speaking of your Niv Mizzet Reborn deck. Non-foil. Anime Arclight Phoenix. Fantastic. Oh, man, you're going to make me choose? Foil Retro Life from the Loam. So many good options in this set. All right, one more pack. We'll call it a day. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Arena folk are pretty active in the Discord. So you might be able to get an answer there. Phantasms. Shambling Shell with that tombstone up there. Foil retro Death to the Deathless. For everyone trying to kill the entire table at once with one single spell. Assemble a Legion in foil. Retro Spark Double. Ooh, Prime Speaker Zagana and foil Spark Double. All right. We are going to call it there. That was a nice stream to get us back into the groove of things in 2024. But you definitely want to tune in next week for the debut of Murders at Karlov Manor. We're going to have a debut video going up at 9 o'clock, immediately followed by myself, Mark Rosewater, and Mike Turian, talking about the set in depth, including mechanics, treatments. We're going to talk about Cluedo, and the whole spiel. And that'll launch previews, which will go for the following approximately 2 weeks, a little less. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.